And we're back. In this segment, we are talking about still the younger generation of DC heroes. And what better way to talk about them than the Titans, Batgirl, and monsters. I don't know the younger generation there, but we still see Nightwing. Nightwing all around.
Well, I mean, the monsters are still being fought by a team that includes the younger generation.
Exactly.
And the younger generation does play a pretty major role in this issue, too.
That's true. Spoiler, Orphan, the Wally West, we have Aqualad, we have Nightwing, we have Batgirl. Let's start with Batgirl and her adventures. Batgirl number 3, Beyond a Burnside, Part 3. Well, last issue we saw Barbara getting knocked out from her opponent. We find out that her opponent is kind of not what she seems to be. And what I mean by that is we find out when she got knocked out, Barbara, she gets up, and we find out that her opponent is deaf. And that's how she was to be so focused on the task at hand, which was the fight to knock Barbara out. Which, once she understood that, she was able to go back and analyze the moves. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's different, and it doesn't take Barbara long to realize that Wen Lu, this deaf MMA fighter, is basically a full-fledged supervillain.
Yes.
She's even got a costume and everything. She's the Moth.
The Moth.
Yeah.
Like Mothra, like Godzilla Mothra?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how I was kind of hoping the deafness would factor into that.
Okay.
I don't think moths are deaf, but hey, whatever. Whatever floats your boat, Wen Lu. You're the supervillain. You punched out Barbara Gordon. You can be whatever you want.
Yeah, she did punch her out pretty good.
And it looks like she's part of this organization that seems to be going after Kai. And all we know is her teacher is named Teacher. And she's one of the students. And so she's sort of the follow-up to the assassin schoolgirl we had in the first issue. So kind of an interesting jump from schoolgirl assassin to the Moth.
Yes.
An interesting jump.
After Barbara gets her senses back, she figures out that the Moth is probably headed towards the house where her friend is. And she goes in. This time she's prepared to fight her because Barbara's memory is so good that she analyzed the fight in her head and figured out since she can't hear, she's deaf, she is focused. So she knows all her moves. And when they fight a second time, Batgirl has the element of knowing how she fought. And she stuns her this time. And the Moth takes off. We find out that there was a little bug, literally a little bug, electronic bug.
And Barbara gets a sense that someone else has been viewing her and what Kai's been doing. And she also starts to figure out that when Kai said he was into, what was it, data encryption?
Yes.
He said he was into that, and he was previously had what he said was food poisoning in the previous issue. Barbara starts to put together that maybe he's carrying whatever data is encrypted in his body.
That was interesting.
Bioencryption, I think she calls it.
Yes.
Yeah, which is apparently an actual thing. Like, you can turn data into, like, DNA, basically.
Yes.
Put it in someone's body, and that's what, that's maybe one of the things Kai was throwing up.
Yep. She said he wasn't food poison, he was information poison. I even looked it up to try to understand the process, and it's been around for a little bit, but to put it in the comic book was very interesting of, okay, he's doing bioespionage, and that's why he was sick earlier.
Yep.
I just wonder, with that bacteria coated, how long does it live in the body? How long do you carry it? All those things made me want to...
How do you even get it out?
Right.
I mean, what would they even do to him if they got Kai? I mean, presumably they have to kidnap him or somehow extract it from him. That's complicated.
It is, very. When Barbara finds that bug, she traces, triangulates the signal, and it's back to Hong Kong. She goes to find what she thinks is going to be the villain's hideout. It turns out the signal's emanating from a construction site, skyscraper, and there's the construction bad guy. It looks like she was kind of set up to
Yeah.
lure her away from Kai so that Moth and this construction worker can take Batgirl out while their teacher goes after Kai.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want the construction worker to have a name. You need to
Yep.
pick a good construction-themed name for that guy. And it's an interesting, just weird occupational supervillain thing to have. It's a strange combination between the schoolgirl, the moth, and the construction worker.
Yes.
It's very strange. And I was wondering too, is teacher someone we've met before? Is this someone new? I mean, she's already. The one thing that stood out to me was there was that MMA teacher
Right.
that Barbara was with, who knew, who was familiar with Gotham City. She was familiar with some of that stuff, and she's also a teacher.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure. Who knows? We'll see, and we'll see if Barbara can even get back in time, considering she's got to travel quite a distance just to get back.
That's true. She can even make it through, because it'll be round 3 literally between the Moth and Batgirl, and they're both familiar with each other. And your second favorite super villain this week, the construction guy.
Yeah, construction dude.
Yeah, construction dude.
Yeah, which really should be a candidate for his name. That would be great.
Batgirl just continues to just be solid. It's going on a good path of, it's building up Batgirl, even when she was talking about, the teacher had said, when you can't look to the future when the past is in front of you, and she said, well, because I studied the past, I knew what was in front of me. It was just that little lesson. And Batgirl is just traveling the world. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy how, even though she's traveling, doing all this fighting and vigilantism, like when she lands in Korea, she still says, okay, I'm here, time to get some food.
Yeah.
And she goes and gets food, and it's great. I mean, it really helps to establish Batgirl's character.
Exactly.
I mean, she's fighting crime, she's still backpacking.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Titans number 3, The Return of Wally West Part 3, Face to Face. Titans was a very interesting issue for me because it gave more of a story of Kadabra, who he had said that he wiped Wally West out of the time stream, but it came at a great cost to him losing his power and losing his memory and taking kind of himself out of the time stream. Do you because everything we've seen so far, and we're talking about the big overall picture of the DC Universe Rebirth, we've seen the Watchmen implied that the Watchmen are responsible for the time, and Dr. Manhattan has something to do with it. We see Doomsday being recaptured by what is probably Asmodeus, more than likely. Tim Drake from the present and the future has been taken off the board by this Asmodeus as well. Do you kind of buy that maybe Kadabra is responsible for some of this as well?
I don't know. It doesn't jive with everything else that you see Kadabra doing. I mean, he wants that performance.
Yes.
He wants that show. He wants the entire world to know that he's better than Wally West. And maybe losing his own memories and his own power was just a, collateral damage from
Right.
that, and that was an unintended consequence. I can't see him doing that. I mean, that maybe he's, I don't know if he's delusional. I don't know if he's lying. I don't buy that he's the one who took him out. Because that also doesn't really explain how Wally came back.
Right.
And I don't know. It seems like if Wally had been taken out, like Doomsday and like Tim Drake had, that could have also had an effect on Kadabra.
Yep.
And like he's also said too, he also knows that Wally and Linda aren't supposed to meet yet.
Yes, that was a big
But
plot point.
it seems, Wally knows Linda from before
Yep.
he was yanked out, so maybe this Kadabra is a different Kadabra? I mean, we know he's a time traveler too.
Yep.
That, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more my head starts to hurt. Because it's a lot of possibilities.
The connection, I guess if you want to call them Kadabra's little army of Titans, he used them to scout the current Titans, and they find out that Wally has a deeper connection to the Speed Force, that was very intriguing because I don't think Kadabra really expected Wally to be as powerful, and he's still thinking of Iris constantly. So Kadabra uses that to his advantage because as soon as Wally goes to check up on her, she is taken hostage by Kadabra.
Mm-hmm.
So evidently the way to get to Wally is through Iris.
Mm-hmm.
A couple points that I thought was interesting. One of them was Donna Troy pulled Roy Harper to the side and said, well, you were under the lasso of persuasion. Do you really love me? Well, I was lying. I'm a really good liar. That's how I got out of it. She said, okay. Yeah, just like I'm a really good liar now. I liked that part. That was funny to me.
Yeah, I liked him as the PR man.
Yes.
Too. He's the one talking about the Titans over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then secondly, Kadabra. Did you notice Kadabra's watch?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the little blood there, a little symbolism, a little foreshadowing maybe? Because he mentioned that Wally broke his nose and broke his nose or made him bleed, and he got blood on his great grandfather's watch. Mm-hmm. I might be missing a great here or there.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there a connection? Is his great grandfather Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah. Well, and he mentions too that because the time stream is askew because Wally and Linda aren't supposed to meet yet, he mentions that that could only be his work, or it could only be him. Yes. And he mentions another him. And we don't know who that him is. But, I mean, there's, again, the possibility that could be Dr. Manhattan.
Yes.
Too. That'll be interesting to see. And if Wally was tapped into a deeper speed force, does that mean he made it back? I mean, he made it back on his own? Because one of my thoughts was, I mean, we've seen Tim, two versions of Tim and Doomsday get abducted. Yes. I wonder if at the same time, could they be sort of releasing other characters back in? Like Ozymandias doing that? Because Tim didn't show any, if Tim touched someone, he didn't cause memories to come back or anything.
That's true.
And here's Wally doing that, and he hasn't been taken off the board yet.
Right.
So it makes you wonder if they sent him in for a reason to do that. I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of potential story arc, and a lot of information is going to have to be sorted out eventually.
Yeah, definitely. We also in this issue saw two former Titans, Bumblebee and Mal. I think was his name.
Yep, Mal Duncan.
And they seem to have a little bit of a healthy life outside of superhero, kind of retired. But I don't know if they're one of them is feeling the urge to get back, because I believe she said that she felt like with these powers that she should be doing something with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both seem, pretty happy in retirement. They have a kid, they have a house, and, they see the Titans on TV. They sort of want to jump back in. Both of them mentioned that, Mal was in a fight with Twister. He hasn't really recovered from that yet, which sounds more psychological than anything. Bumblebee said, I was only on the team for so long. Yes. They're not going to want me back. They might not even remember me. That sort of thing. So, but they also mentioned that Bumblebee has an appointment with Meta Solutions,
right?
And she has their business card, and she's gonna go meet with them, and it'll be interesting to see. Business card said like that was the answer to all your metahuman needs or something like that, or something like that. Something really innocuous. So it'll be interesting to see, is that going to be a new organization? Is that going to be maybe some new, villain force the Titans are going to have to face at some point? That'll be interesting to see what happens from that. But I kind of got the sense that they're both maybe going to be added on to the team later on. Maybe not.
That's what I felt too.
Maybe not as regulars, but maybe it's just support roles.
That's what I felt too. I'm enjoying Titans just because we get to see the second generation of heroes, and it does tie back somehow into this DC Universe Rebirth, I believe. I'm liking the mix mash of characters that we're getting, and seeing how they've kind of grown through the years. Because Dick Grayson, the first Robin, Nightwing is kind of the leader of that generation. Wally West, formerly Kid Flash, now a Flash in his own right, which when he was talking to Iris was, I'm not the Flash, I'm a Flash. And she said, well, I just don't date any Flashes. It was funny. If only she knew that her nephew was Kid Flash now too.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later. Great. I just want to see, where do these storylines go, and will Iris and Wally make it Linda? I don't know.
It's okay.
I don't know. When they do connect?
Yeah. It's like, Wally, just touch her already.
Right,
like, come
exactly.
on, you did that to all your teammates against their will. Just, tap her on the shoulder.
Yep.
Tap her on the cheek. Do something. Just get to that point. I'm assuming that'll probably happen, once he saves her from Kadabra.
And maybe because he loves her so much and cares about her, he doesn't want to shock her like that, so he's waiting until he's absolutely sure. That's something that's a good...
Yeah, because they mentioned, Omen spent a lot of time trying to, take care of Linda this issue too, so...
That's true. Titans #3 continues to be a good read. Great characters, developing more of the story for what we believe is the end game, which somehow relates to DC Universe Rebirth. Detective Comics #941, Night of the Monster Men Part 3. We're into the 3rd issue of Night of the Monster Men in this little story. And the focus right now is kind of on Gotham Girl and also Spoiler and Orphan. And they're all kind of doing their different things. Gotham Girl is so worked up, even though she's trying to conquer her fear leads her to, I believe, Blackgate Prison to try to take out this other monster, while the fear in the cave is just at an all-time high. So Orphan and Spoiler are just trying to calm everyone down, figuring out why. Of course, no one wants to be in a cave. No one wants to be in an enclosed space. But this red fungus, it might be, is really causing them to panic.
Yeah, it looks like Orphan and Spoiler finally kind of noticed that there's a red fungus all over basically everybody in the cave, which they finally, they even come up with a plan on their own, because communications are pretty much cut off. So it's pretty impressive just for those two to come up with a plan. I mean, that really shows both Spoiler's brains and Orphan's brains too. I mean, she doesn't say very much, but she even contributes to that idea too.
Right.
So they seem to kind of have that under control for right now. They're gonna, they're instructing most of the police officers to set fires in the cave to burn some of the, burn spores out of the air or whatever. And that's interesting. I'm almost wondering, is that too easy? Like, is that part of Strange's plan? Because, I mean, that means you are setting fire in a cave. That's not going to be good. I mean, you're going to have...
Right.
Smoke is going to go places. I mean, it looked like it was mostly flares, but we'll see.
Right. Everything at this point, we don't know, we don't know if this is Dr. Hugo Strange's master plan to get Gotham Girl back involved, to get her unstable, to make her go crazy, to get the citizens of Gotham in a panic, and just this whole chaos to distract Batman and Batwoman. So even though it might be coincidence, you can't discount anything that's happening with Dr. Hugo Strange's plan.
Yeah. It might be that his plan just kind of changes. I mean, like when Gotham Girl and Nightwing finally make it to Blackgate, she absolutely rips this monster apart.
Exactly.
I mean, she really loses it, and in doing so, gets covered in the crap that's inside this monster.
Right.
And she and Nightwing get turned into monsters too.
Which was pretty odd. That was very odd to me.
A little. I mean, this is a pretty odd series so far. So, I mean, it kind of goes along with that. I mean, I'm still curious to know what Hugo's end goal is. I mean, what's the point? I mean, I get you're trying to make chaos.
Right.
You know, just give me the spin on what this is. I mean, is he trying to make monsters out of everybody? Is he trying to, metaphorically do that? I mean, is he just trying to break Batman by making him fight, a monster version of Nightwing and monster
Right.
version of Gotham Girl. That'll be interesting to see. And speaking of Gotham Girl ripping that monster apart, I would not want to be the Psycho Pirate
No.
if she ever is in the room with
No.
him. Holy cow! I
She's
mean,
very unhinged. She thought she was calm, but she is. There's a lot going on with her.
she's more coherent than she was in a few previous issues. I mean, when she first shaved her head and she was talking to Gotham, I mean, basically going along with that, sort of deluding herself that he was still there.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a lot more with it now. She's still trying to cope with that anger. And she also mentions to Nightwing that these monsters are like the fear she felt in her heart from the Psycho Pirate sort of given form.
Yes.
You know, it's the the terror of having to fight your own brother because he's gone off the deep end. It's having all this fear instilled in you, and she's trying to do something about that, to help the people of Gotham. Because, like we said, I think it was the last issue of Night of the Monster Men. She could hear the screams,
Yep.
from where she was in the Batcave. So I mean, it's hard to say no to her. I mean, obviously she's not.
She can
really
do what
fit
she
to be
wants.
out there, but yeah. So I would not want to be Psycho Pirate at this point.
No. I wouldn't want to be Psycho Pirate either. And when this arc gets done, we have 3 more. This is the halfway point of Night of the Monster Men. When we get done, the next story arc in Batman is him going to look for Psycho Pirate. Yeah, I would not want to be Bane. I would not want to be Psycho Pirate. I would not want to be Dr. Hugo Strange after all of this. If they clean up this mess, I would not want to be either 3 of those. They have earned the wrath of Batman. And we'll see where Gotham Girl comes, and we'll see what happens. So be honest with you, Night of the Monster Men is a little hokey. In any other series, it would probably be a lot more accepted, but being Batman, you don't see Batman fighting universal monsters that often. But it's still kind of neat to see how the team is reacting to a different crisis and how the resources are spread thin and how they react to something that they're not necessarily trained for. They're trained to fight a group of people, they're trained to fight and be in control, but not to deal with supernatural, the weather, and they're all spread thin, but this is a true test of the valor of the team.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, we are going to take our final break, and when we come back, it's issue 1 Rebirth time, when we're going to discuss Batman Beyond Rebirth #1 and Teen Titans Rebirth #1. And we'll be back in just a moment.